Good afternoon, everybody. We'd like to welcome you to Lunch and Learn. And today we're really excited about our guest, which is Michelle Davis Dykstra. And so Michelle is a Roanoke native and graduate of the University of Michigan. Currently, Ms. Davis is the Chief Executive Officer of the Boys and Girls Club of Southwestern Virginia. And as we all know, that's a youth development organization that serves over 850 youth in 6 locations throughout our region. Additionally, Ms. Davis was elected to a 4-year term on Roanoke City Council in 2016, serving Roanoke City at large, again advocating for children and families within our region. Michelle lives with her daughter Elsa in Roanoke City, and she currently serves on the Freedom First Credit Union Board of Directors and was appointed to the Virginia Recreational Facilities Authority by Governor Terry McAuliffe. She is Vice Chair of the Roanoke City Legislative Committee and Chair of the Roanoke City Personnel Committee, and was previously president of the Mountain View Neighborhood Association and served on several other boards and commissions. And we would like to welcome Michelle here today, and she is going to talk about her work with the Boys and Girls Club and talk about working parents in the 21st century. So nice to see you today, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you all for allowing me to speak with you today and give you a little bit of information about Boys and Girls Clubs. A lot of people are still unaware that we even have Boys and Girls Clubs here in Roanoke. A lot of people know nationally, they recognize Denzel Washington as being the face of Boys and Girls Club. And you think of it as being a major metro type of organization. But here in Roanoke City, as you said, we serve 850 youth across this region, Roanoke City, Montgomery County, and Franklin County. And so we're really honored to have this opportunity in order to serve our students, in order to serve our families. And so my goal today is to talk a little bit about how we have become an integral part of this 21st century workforce. Because what we've learned is that it's not just about our kids and how we educate our kids and how we make sure that our kids have the resources and support they need, but also how do we support the new working family and what the new working family needs to make sure that as a community we're really reaching those who need us most, that we're reaching all of those students who need some additional opportunity in their lives. So, Boys and Girls Club as an organization is an after-school and summer program, and I say that we also have a before-school program. So depending on the community and depending on the community's needs, we serve in the capacity that's requested. So we serve students ages K through 12. We work 2:30 to 6:30 during the school year after school, 7:30 to 5:30 during the summer in whole youth development. So that's the times that the kids are there, that we are working on our soft skills, that we're working on education, that we're really working on learning through play, especially during those summer months. And we do serve in Roanoke City, Montgomery County, and Franklin County with a total of 6 sites for our after-school and summer programs. And our total family expense is $15 per school year. And that'll be important later on. Our student development programming is focused on 3 key pillars: academics, healthy lifestyles, and good citizenship. And Dr. Dunsmore, when you spoke with me today about the opportunity to do this Lunch and Learn, one of the things that really captured my attention was our complementary focuses on that healthy lifestyle component, and how do we make sure that our families have all of the information they need, because it's not just about how do we treat them, it's also about how do we make sure that holistically the family as a unit is healthy and active. In Roanoke City, we use census data, and we have the federally defined underserved areas in Roanoke City was confirmed as Southeast Census Tracts 26 and 27. 49.8% of families are living with children in poverty. 20% of young adults ages 18 through 24 did not graduate from high school. And Northwest, which has a much longer census tract number and a greater population size, we're seeing similar numbers. 40.8% of families with children in poverty, 21% of young adults not graduating from high school. Because of the spread of Carilion, I'm going to talk to you guys about Montgomery County too. So we serve in the eastern part of Montgomery County mostly, in the Shawsville, Elliston areas. And so when you pull those census tracts out individually, we get some more information. 54% of workers there are earning less than $20,000 a year. We know that most people are in the labor force as they are able, but since the recession in 2008, we saw a lot of people drop out of the labor force. So even though unemployment is extremely low right now, it doesn't mean that people are actually working. It just means they've stopped looking for jobs. We do see that 35% of those living in poverty in Shawsville in particular are under the age of 12. 46% of those living in poverty in Elliston are under the age of 12. And then you see some information for Lafayette, and I did not say that right. I didn't say it the way you're supposed to say it in the eastern part of the county, Lafayette, and Christiansburg. 31% of those living in poverty are under the age of 18. So those are the areas we serve in Montgomery County, and then we also serve in Rocky Mount. We serve 195 students maximum at our Roanoke City location. So we have our very own standalone location here in Roanoke City where we have 20 buses coming after school, dropping off kids ages 5 through 18, and they come to our Roanoke City location less than a mile away from where we're sitting right now over in Southeast. Of the students at this location, Roanoke City, 94% of them are on free and reduced lunch or community eligibility provision. 46% live in Southeast and 27% live in Northwest. 54% of our current students are African American. We have a very diverse population, all different backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, family structures, all different race and ethnicities represented. It's one of the most, I would say, interesting places to be in an afternoon after school, just watching all these kids playing and having no regard for what adult society eventually places meaning on later on in life. It's just kids being kids. 81 cents of every dollar invested at Boys and Girls Club goes directly back to our students. In Montgomery, Franklin, and Roanoke City, I've highlighted here the number of students that we're currently serving. So this shows we have 778 total registered members. That's of right now. By the end of the school year, that'll be back up to about 850. We have a limited number of resources when it comes to serving these students. We know of the 778 currently enrolled up towards the 850. We only have a limited number of spots for those students every single day. And so we're constantly trying to balance out the needs of the community with the resources that we have to provide the services that we have. Our goal is to create a lifelong impact on every student who walks through our doors. So our members self-report annually the following: 100% on-time graduation rate for high school seniors. We currently at 9th Street in Roanoke City have 33 teenagers coming every single day to Boys and Girls Club. Teens who can choose to go anywhere and do anything, but because they've built a relationship with Boys and Girls Club, because we provide them opportunities that they don't have elsewhere, they choose to come to our center after school. Each club member participates in 60 minutes of physical activity at least 5 days per week. Right now, we're doing ice skating lessons with our first and second graders out at Lancerlot, and it is a blast watching these kids. They got fitted for helmets and all of their gear, and just watching these kids tremble out onto the ice for the first time. And of course, being kids, within 5 minutes they've got it and they're off, and all the staff are there holding on to the sides. So we have a lot of fun trying to expose our students to opportunities that they wouldn't have otherwise. 93% of our students self-report that they abstain from smoking and vaping. 100% expect to graduate from high school and then complete some type of post-secondary education. We work in concert with the CCAP program in Roanoke City, but we also know that there are a lot of other opportunities for kids, not just college. So we work with workforce development initiatives, with skills training initiatives, and you'll learn about that in a minute when I talk about our youth employment program. I love this statistic. 100% of our club members volunteer within the community and give back. We focus on community service within our network so that all of our students know no matter what you have, you always have the ability to give back, whether it's painting, cleaning up, spending time with someone, or we do coat drives, we do canned food drives, we go to the rescue mission and serve at the rescue mission. So teaching students that having a heart of service is an integral part of being an adult in today's society is really important as well. And of course, 79% of our students are on AB Honor Roll. We focus a lot on academics at Boys and Girls Club. We're trying to create caring adults. So two-parent working households or single-parent households are now the new norm. And this is really what I wanted to talk about today. As a society, we have created a new normal in order for people just to be able to get by, where we know now that most households that have two parents in the household, both parents are working out of necessity. And yet as a society, we have not created the structure that supports this new family normal. Our schools get out at 3 o'clock. There is no guaranteed after-school program. We look at moms that are going back to work as soon as babies are born. I would raise my hand as one of them. There is no universal childhood daycare. We're working towards more preschool opportunities for students. But what we really see is that throughout the lifespan of our children, we are putting a lot of pressure on our parents to figure out how are you going to not only keep the lights on, put food on the table, raise these children into happy, healthy adults, but we also need you to contribute in greater ways than have ever been expected of you before as an adult if you are going to survive and if you're going to make it. And we haven't given anybody the necessary resources or rethought the structure behind what as a community we're doing to support all of our families in this. So when schools were originally created and devised, and we had kids that were learning for part of the day, and they were coming home and they were helping out at the home. They were helping out possibly at the farm. A lot of the area we're in right now was rural and agriculture at the time. Kids had an activity. They had a job. They had a purpose. Now we have a lot of kids that not only do they not have a purpose after school, but they have no supervision. And so what we're working towards at Boys and Girls Club is creating that opportunity for students to find their purpose. How can they continue to give back and to be a part of a close-knit, integrated community that's going to support them throughout their lifetime? We work a lot on healthy lifestyle initiatives as well. One of the things we found is that our schools right now, because of the drive towards test scores and SOLs, and there's so much talk in Roanoke City, Montgomery County, and Franklin County about how do we come back now and rebalance not just our test scores, but also with the emotional needs of our students as well. So we see a lot more movement towards supporting those emotional needs. But as after-school care providers, how can we help supplement that? How do we teach our kids how to make healthy choices on their own, both with their own bodies, with their own food, and then also help guide their families in that? A lot of our students, the ones living in Southeast and the students living in Northwest, are in food deserts. We're directly located across from a 7-Eleven. Well, that 7-Eleven is the main source of food in our immediate little area. So when you think about young kids who their interaction with grocery shopping takes place at a 7-Eleven, not at even a Food Lion where there's a produce section, we have to teach our kids to seek that kind of fresh food. We have to teach our kids to seek outdoor activity, how to be on a team with other people, how to work together towards a common goal, how to be outside and run around. One of the biggest issues I see today is how do you entertain yourself? So many of our kids are coming to us, and if there's not a screen in front of them, they don't know how to entertain themselves or how to work with other kids to be creative and problem solve. So that's a lot of the healthy lifestyle component that we work on with our data-driven programming that we do after school. We also work, and I should highlight on here, on abstention from drug use. We see a lot in the eastern Montgomery County students, a lot of opioid abuse within families, either direct family members or through indirect contact through other students and other family members. So we do talk a lot about drug use and providing opportunities for parents and students to receive support that they need. And then we do a lot with financial literacy as well. So we also are trying to solve our current and future workforce needs. We know that career exploration has to begin at an earlier age. High school is not early enough. Students have to learn soft skills that they're not necessarily learning at home anymore. When you don't have parents there after school, it's really hard to learn how do you call in sick? How do you shake a person's hand? How do you prioritize that you're going to get your homework done first and then you're going to play afterwards, right? We do the hard things first so that we have time to do the fun stuff. Well, if nobody teaches you that, we can't expect that that's something that our kids are going to learn on their own. We do what we call Power Hour, so focusing 1 hour every single day with all of our students, all 788 of them, on focusing on their homework, their academics. With our younger kids, it's reading out loud. We do a lot of math. We do a lot of one-on-one tutoring, and we track all of our students' test scores, their grades in school and their attendance in school, making sure that we are looking out for the holistic view of our students. So youth employment has become a critically necessary component of what we do. We didn't start off as a youth employment, career, workforce development kind of organization, but what we really found in our goal to retain our students through their senior year of high school is that a lot of our seniors and our juniors were leaving Boys and Girls Club to go get a job. And when they leave to go get a job, either out of necessity or because they need the control in their own life to have their own money that they don't have somebody else controlling, then we start to lose them. And when we start to lose them, we don't have that same kind of guiding eye over them to make sure we get them through graduation, we get them on a career path, and we get them adjusted post-high school. So we decided if we were going to keep an eye on them, that the best way to do it would be to help them in what they're already trying to do, which is how do we help you find that first part-time job. So the Teen Action Program is our youth employment program. It's been funded in part through the Roanoke Women's Foundation. We're extremely grateful. We had an awesome grant from the Roanoke Women's Foundation that's allowed us to get the pilot program off its feet. We are now in the second semester of our youth employment program, and I'm going to go through some of the details of this right now. But again, this goes back to the changing the 21st century workforce. Our students today need to graduate from high school with a skill. And we see that. We're focusing on that in our schools. I don't fault our schools for this. We have the certificate requirements in our Roanoke City Public Schools and in Montgomery County schools right now. But we also need to create that that pathway for our students where they have the opportunity to explore what career options they may be interested in. You think about a student who doesn't learn from books the same way that another student in their class might. And when you have a kinesthetic type of learning capability and nobody really helps encourage that to grow within you, as a young person, you really start to wonder, what's wrong with me? They're able to take tests. They're able to learn. They're able to read it out of a book and figure it out, and yet I learn differently. So how do we take our kids at Boys and Girls Club and encourage them on all levels to explore not only what they're interested in, but also to find out what they're good at? A lot of our kids are great at working with their hands. A lot of our kids are really artistic. And so if we're going to help them find that next career path or find out what their career path is going to be, we need to be able to explore those options. So we have student needs in our youth employment program, and we have employer needs. Employers are telling us, and I'm sure you all have seen this within Carilion, that we need quality employees with basic skills. Can you show up on time? Can you put down your cell phone for a 30-minute meeting? Can you look somebody in the eyes? Can you dress appropriately? Basic skills. We have employers who are specifically looking for career-focused teens and young adults who are looking to build their skill sets. Right now, if you're trying to get any work done in your house in Roanoke, if you're trying to get a house built in Roanoke, your wait list is 6 months to a year because we don't have enough people right now in the construction industry. One of the other things we found with our employers is that even if they can find people to come work some entry-level jobs, transportation to and from those jobs is a huge issue. Again, you go back to construction or you go to highway construction, being able to get to a job site becomes critically important. Yet we have a lot of kids these days that don't even get their driver's licenses anymore. And, you know, you can't Uber to a $15 an hour job every single day. There's got to be some kind of community-provided transportation. And so you mentioned the city council role earlier. That's one of the pieces that I really strive to look at from city council is how do we create that network of support. Employers are also asking for pre-qualified job applicants. Teenagers can go through some of the basic certificate programs needed in construction and needed in some of the skills-based workforce needs. They can graduate from high school with those certificates. So are we making sure that we're getting those certificates in the hands of those who need it? And then they're looking for a diverse workforce talent pool. And this is one of the areas where Boys and Girls Club shines. I told you about our demographics at Boys and Girls Club. We have reach into a diverse family population within Roanoke City. And employers are looking right now to make sure that they are able to diversify their workforce, that it is representative of the community in which they serve. And that's one place where Boys and Girls Club really shines. So this just talks a little bit about our teen employment program, starting with middle school. working then through high school. And I'm really proud to tell you that we partner with the West End Center and with Presbyterian Community Center as well. We partner with CAFE, Family Services. We use junior achievement programming, and then we also partner with Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I hope that everybody who sees this and who is on the call today knows that your community is working together so that we're not replicating services, so that we are not infighting over available resources. We have come together to really say, what can we do to lift up all students in our community? And I'm so proud of our nonprofit partners who are doing this. Oh, that's the next slide. So working together is critically important. And one of the things that we know is that this work is done one person at a time. I say on here one student at a time because that's really our focus. But everybody talks about big sweeping change. You see this from government typically. They want to know, okay, well, we need to change the lives of tens of thousands of people. How are you going to do that? I can't answer how we're going to change the lives of 10,000 people, but I can tell you how we're going to change the life of one child and how that one child is going to change the life of another person in their life and how we can grow from that perspective. It does take a lot of one-on-one interaction. There is no silver bullet. There's no magic button you can push that suddenly you're going to have a bunch of students with all these skills. We talk a lot about anger issues with students these days. You hear a lot about students who are needing additional socio-emotional support because they don't necessarily have it in their households for various reasons. That's not done through one 30-minute class at school where they learn how to deep breathe. That's one small component. They have to be getting those resources and having that support throughout their day. They need it for multiple years, and we're trying to change habits. And anybody who's in the practice of trying to change habits, like so many physicians and nurses are, you have to recognize that habit change takes a long time, whether you're a student, whether you're an adult. And so it's this continuous work that's going to get us to the next step and to the place where we need to be. So one of the things I always like to end my presentations with is how can you help? If you have heard something today that you find really interesting and you want to do something with Boys and Girls Club, the number one thing we need right now is volunteers who are willing to come to Boys and Girls Club for 1 hour, 1 day a week, and I ask just for a 6-week commitment. Try it out, see if it's something you like. We have first grade students who desperately need somebody to read to them. We have second grade and third grade students who need somebody just to sit and listen to them, one-on-one. They get really scared in a classroom setting. And so if you can just take them in a corner, you sit in a couple of beanbag chairs with them and just let them read. That's our biggest need right now. We really see that our elementary school students are struggling with some of their reading skills. Math skills are a struggle too, but that one-on-one attention that you get when you're reading to, with, and really supporting a student in their reading, learning, comprehension, it's really important that you have that consistent pace. And so that 1 hour, 1 day a week, 6-week commitment, we can fit it in as long as it's after school. We have kids there after school, but we can fit it in any time in our after-school program. So that's our biggest volunteer need right now. Of course, we always have opportunities for large groups, and we do lots of fun events. So we do our 4-mile race in the summer, and we always need volunteers. So there's tons of opportunity, but we've really seen that this is where we make the biggest impact on our kids. And that's the conclusion of my presentation. Oh, dear, what time it is. Good.
So, Michelle, thank you for doing that overview, and thank you for the work that you're doing in the community for our children and our families. I have to say, as a pediatrician, all of this resonates with me on a very deep level, and it speaks to the commitment that Carilion Children's has, too, to become a vibrant part of our community and to help become resource leaders, thought leaders, and thought participants within the community, and not to just keep repeating services, but make sure that we're collaborating in a way in which we're using all of our best skill sets and our resources. I love the fact that you have brought up some tangible ideas, how as community members, as members of Carilion Children's, we could actually come in and help in a way that would be tangible. And I have to agree with you again, it is really those one-on-one connections. It is that space time that is absolutely necessary for our young children for us to make the kind of thriving community that we all want to live in. I have a couple of questions. One of them resides around the fact that we are just now looking at being trauma-informed in our community and moving towards trauma-responsive. And can you speak a little bit to what kind of programs you have? Because I'm sure some of your children and family members have needs in that area.
Absolutely. So we are hearing a lot in our community in particular, and I'm really
grateful for that, that we do have multiple institutions that are really looking at trauma-informed care as being a critical component to the services that they offer. At Boys and Girls Club, we are no different. We train our staff on trauma-informed responses to students, and so they all of our staff are in a training today, an in-service training today, specifically on trauma-informed care. We run admin staff as much as we can through a couple of different programs that are offered here locally, so that even as we are creating and devising new programs, that they are done with the lens of how do we provide this service to students who may or may not have been traumatized. One of the things that really strikes me from the government perspective and from the Boys and Girls Club perspective, trauma-informed care has become a buzzword recently. And one of the things that I think people fail to realize is that when we talk about trauma-informed, what we're doing is we're treating all students, all kids, all people with the knowledge that we don't know what has happened in their life. And every single person that we encounter on a daily basis may have had a picture-perfect life and everything may be great, and they woke up on the right side of the bed this morning and they have had breakfast and they got themselves to work and they had the money in their bank account to do the things they needed to do today, and they are living their best life. And I pray that we get to the point in our society where we can say that about everybody. But we also know that a lot of the students that we serve on every single day may have encountered something this weekend that they never expected. They may have heard, we talk a lot about the ACEs, right? So, you know, they may have heard domestic violence within their household. They may have heard gunshots within their neighborhood this weekend. They may not have known if they were going to be able to have dinner last night until the last moment, or until they didn't have dinner last night. We have a lot of students that get themselves up for school every single day, and we're talking 6, 7, 8-year-olds getting themselves up for school, getting themselves to the school bus. So when you take students, in our case, in the afternoon, they get off the school bus, potentially students that have been bullied at school during the day. We react to every single student with love and compassion, and with a knowledge that we don't know what happened in your day prior to today, but that we are going to address you as a whole person. We're not just going to address this one issue. We do have a lot of, you know, there are behavioral issues in any setting where you have a lot of kids. You know, we typically have about 180 kids on average every single day at 9th Street. And so we run into issues on a regular basis of kids who just, you know what, they just don't have the capacity to do it today. And that's where we have the staff that can spend that one-on-one time with them and really get to know and love the child for that child's unique characteristics and capabilities. I think the trauma-informed sentiment, the trauma-informed leadership that we're seeing is really important for all of us, not just in dealing with students, but in dealing with every single human being who we come into contact with on a daily basis. So I am glad that we're working through that, and that Carilion has been such a huge leader in promoting this from within your own facilities, because you know, we saw the school district step up. We're starting to see local government step up. You start to see all these individual institutions step up and say, we want to be a part of that trauma-informed network as well.
So that's, you know, that is something that we really want to be a good collaborator with organizations such as yours. I do understand, though, that money is a concern, right? It always is, and there's never enough to go around. And as somebody who likes to find organizations that I can commit to my own resources that I might have that others don't, how much of your budget is actually covered by philanthropy versus federal or local monies?
Great question.
So thank you for that question. We currently operate 6 sites And of those 6 sites, we receive about $500,000, a little over $500,000 in state funding right now. And when I say state funding, that's specifically through the 21st Century Grant Program. So it's actually federal pass-through to the state that then comes to the individual localities. Now, there's always a catch-22. Those programs are on 3-year cycles. If we do our job and we do our job well, we won't qualify for the money at the end of that 3-year cycle. So it creates a sustainability problem. But about half of our budget is currently made up of those state grants, and that means that we have between $600,000 to $800,000, depending on the budget year, that is raised locally. We do not receive any money from Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and that's one of the biggest misconceptions that I try and have to overcome, is that people assume because Denzel Washington supports Boys and Girls Club that we have a bajillion dollars laying around. We actually pay to be a Boys and Girls Club member. It's almost like almost like a franchise agreement, although we get a lot of resources, and we're really lucky. We have a lot of marketing opportunities through BGCA. I have a lot of support from other CEOs and other clubs that are facing similar issues, a lot of collaboration. So we really love being Boys and Girls Club, but there is no financial support that comes along with that. So it is mostly local.